The Galactic Council had declared the nebula a dead zone. Every species in the known universe understood this simple truth. The asteroid field surrounding the nebula was not merely dangerous. It was mathematically impossible to navigate. The rocks moved in chaotic patterns that all known physics. They collided and split and reformed in ways that no computer could predict. Thousands of ships had tried over the centuries. None had survived. Captain Vance stood on the bridge of the UES Prometheus and stared at the swirling mass of destruction on the. Behind her ship waited a fleet of 47 vessels. They carried 3 million refugees from the fallen. The Empire was hunting them. Their warships were only 6 hours behind. There was no other escape route. The field was their only chance. Ambassador of the People stood beside. His 4 eyes were wide with terror. His blue skin had turned pale. He had seen the data. He knew what lay ahead. "Captain Vance," he said in a trembling voice, "our calculations show a 0% survival rate. The field extends for 900,000 kilometers. Even with perfect navigation, the journey would take 4 hours. No computer system can process the movement patterns fast enough. We should surrender to the. Perhaps they will show mercy." Turned to face the alien diplomat. She was not a tall woman. She was not physically impressive in any way, but something burned in her dark eyes that made the ambassador take a step backward. "They don't know the meaning of mercy," she said quietly. "They will enslave your children and execute your elders. I did not bring this fleet here to watch your people die in chains." "But the field is impossible. Our own navigators have confirmed it. The collective tried with their quantum prediction systems. The Hive attempted with their linked consciousness network. Both civilizations lost entire fleets. What can humans possibly do that they could not?" Smiled. It was not a happy expression. It was the smile of someone who had made peace with death long ago. "We can feel it," she said simply. The ambassador did not understand. He watched as Captain Vance walked to the navigation console and gently moved the pilot aside. She placed her hands on the manual controls. No human ship had been flown manually in 300 years. The very idea was considered primitive and foolish. "All ships," spoke into the fleet communication channel, "this is Captain Vance. In the next few minutes I will be taking direct control of fleet navigation through the neural link system. I need every captain to surrender their helm to my command. I know this goes against protocol. I know this sounds insane, but I need you to trust me. I need you to trust humanity." Silence filled the communication channel. Then, one by one, the acknowledgments came through. 47 ships placed their fate in the hands of one human woman. Lieutenant Commander approached his captain carefully. He had served with for 12 years. He had seen her do remarkable things, but this was beyond anything he could imagine. "Captain," he whispered, "the neural strain of controlling 48 ships simultaneously could kill you. The human brain was never designed for this kind of load." "The human brain was never designed to fly aircraft either," replied, "or to split atoms, or to walk on other worlds. We did all those things anyway. We are very good at doing impossible things. It is perhaps the only thing we are truly good at." She closed her eyes and activated the neural interface. The consciousness of 48 ships flooded into her mind. She felt the hum of their engines. She sensed the fear of their passengers. She understood the position of every hull plate and every thruster. The fleet moved forward into the field. The first asteroids came spinning toward them within seconds. The computers screamed warnings. The crew members closed their eyes and prepared for death. But the Prometheus twisted sideways at the last possible moment. The rock passed within meters of the hull. Behind them, all 47 ships followed the exact same movement in perfect synchronization. Did not think. Thinking was too slow. She simply reacted. Somewhere deep in her human brain, millions of years of evolution awakened. Her ancestors had dodged predators on the African plains. They had navigated storms in wooden ships. They had survived ice ages and volcanic eruptions and extinction events. That ancient survival instinct lived in her blood. It lived in the blood of every human. The fleet danced through the asteroid field like water flowing around stones. They rolled and pitched and yawed in patterns that should have been impossible for vessels of their size. The passengers watched through viewports with disbelief. They had never seen anything move like this. They had never imagined that movement could be so beautiful. Ambassador stood frozen on the bridge. His people had developed space travel 20,000 years before humans left their planet. His civilization had built empires spanning hundreds of star systems. But in all that time, they had never produced a single individual capable of what he was witnessing. How he breathed, how is this possible? Commander stood beside him with quiet pride. Humans evolved as pursuit predators, he explained. Our ancestors would chase prey for days without rest. We developed the ability to predict movement patterns based on tiny physical cues. We learned to make split-second decisions without conscious thought. Other species evolved different advantages: strength, speed, telepathy. But we evolved something unique. We evolved stubborn determination combined with pattern recognition that operates below conscious awareness. We call it instinct. We call it gut feeling. Scientists have never fully understood it. 2 hours into the journey, Snow's began to bleed. The neural strain was destroying her body cell by cell. Her vital signs showed dangerous irregularities. The ship's medical officer wanted to sedate her and abort the mission. Commander refused the request. She would rather die than stop, he said simply, and she is the only chance these people have. The asteroids grew thicker as the fleet pushed deeper into the field. The movements required became more extreme. Several ships suffered minor hull damage from close passes, but adapted to each challenge. She learned the rhythm of the chaos. She found patterns within the randomness that no computer could detect because no computer could feel what she felt. At the 3-hour mark, spoke for the first time since entering the field. Her voice was barely a whisper. There is a gap ahead, a corridor through the densest section. It will only exist for 90 seconds. We must accelerate to maximum speed, all ships. The fleet communication system filled with panicked objections. Maximum speed through an asteroid field was suicide. The reaction time required would be measured in milliseconds. Even with its remarkable abilities, the margin for error would be non-existent. Trust me, said, and then she pushed the fleet forward. The next 90 seconds existed outside of normal time. The ships blurred through the field at speeds that turned the asteroids into streaks of light on the hands moved across the controls with inhuman speed. Her eyes were open but saw nothing in the physical world. Her consciousness existed entirely within the neural network. 12 ships suffered hull breaches. 2 lost engine function and had to be towed by their neighbors. But when those 90 seconds ended, the fleet emerged into clear space. The asteroid field lay behind them. The nebula glowed ahead like a purple ocean of safety. Collapsed the moment the last ship crossed the threshold. Her heart had stopped twice during the final push. The medical team rushed to revive her while the bridge crews stared at their instruments in silence. The pursuit fleet arrived at the edge of the asteroid field 2 hours later. They did not attempt to follow. Their commanders looked at the scanner data showing the path the human fleet had taken. They calculated the probability of survival. The numbers made no sense. What the humans had done was mathematically impossible. The admiral recorded a message for his superiors. The humans have escaped through the field. All 48 ships survived. Our recommendation is to abandon pursuit. We also recommend that Command reconsider our strategic assessment of human military capabilities. These creatures are not the primitive newcomers we believe them to be. They operate by rules we do not understand. Woke in the medical bay 3 days later, Ambassador sat beside her bed. His people had begun calling her the savior. They wanted to build monuments in her honor. They wanted to write her name into their sacred texts. "Why did you do it?" the ambassador asked. "You almost died. You had no obligation to my people. You could have negotiated your own surrender and survived." Looked at the ceiling for a long moment. "Because someone had to," she finally said. "Because your children deserved a chance to grow up free. Because surrender was never really an option for me. It is not in my nature." "That is what I do not understand," admitted. "Other species calculate risk and reward. They make logical decisions about survival. Humans seem to operate on something else entirely, something we cannot define or measure." "My grandmother had a word for it," said with a weak smile. "She called it heart. It means continuing forward when all logic says you should stop. It means refusing to accept the impossible. Every human carries it inside them. We are a stubborn species, ambassador. We survived our own planet trying to kill us for 100,000 years. We survived ourselves. After all that, a little asteroid field does not seem so frightening." The story of Captain Vance spread across the galaxy in the following months. Other species began to study humans with new interest. They wanted to understand the strange quality that allowed these young creatures to achieve impossible things. They analyzed human brain chemistry. They examined human evolutionary history. They compiled databases of human accomplishments. They never found the answer they were looking for. The quality that made humans special could not be measured or replicated. It lived in the space between logic and action. It was the willingness to try when trying was pointless. It was the refusal to accept limits that others had defined. The Galactic Council eventually removed the nebula from the list of dead zones. They renamed the passage through the asteroid field. They called it Vance's Corridor. Ships from 100 species now traveled through it safely using navigation beacons that crew had placed during their desperate flight. But even with those beacons, alien navigators still struggled. The field still moved in chaotic patterns. The computers still could not fully predict its movements. Only human pilots seemed to navigate it easily. Only humans could feel the rhythm of the chaos. Ambassador lived for another 300 years. In all that time, he never stopped wondering about the strange creatures who had saved his people. He came to believe that humans were not simply another intelligent species. They were something new in the universe. They were proof that evolution could produce miracles. On his deathbed, surrounded by descendants who owed their existence to one stubborn human woman, spoke his final words. "Watch the humans," he told his family. "Help them when you can. Stand beside them when they need allies. Because when the universe itself tells them that something cannot be done, they simply do it anyway. That is their gift. That is their curse. And that is why they will outlast us all."